Hello and welcome to The Insider, a show designed to clue you into the biggest news, events and announcements inside the video games industry, discussing with you some things you may know, some things you may not, and the glue that holds it all together is a little bit of my own opinion. My name is Paul James, thank you very much for watching, and let's kick off with our episode.
Maybe the city needs our friend more than you think.
So another piece of the PlayStation 2018 puzzle has swung into place. Spider-Man now has a release date. We're going to be talking about that in this week's episode, what it means for the PlayStation slate for the course of the year, what its release date means for it and other games that release in that window, and some of the content that we're going to be seeing in the game. There's going to be more coming out over the course of the month, but this is your first look at Spider-Man PS4, and we're going to break it down in this week's episode.
Whew. Anyone else need a breather?
So the first thing we need to discuss is, of course, that release date. The game is coming exclusively to PlayStation 4 on September 7th. It will be launching with a collector's edition, a really expensive collector's edition that includes a Spider-Man statue. We see Spider-Man standing on top of something. There's going to be more revealed around that. Apparently it is quite spoilery for them to show what Spider-Man is kind of standing on top of or hanging on top of at the moment. So we'll see more about that later, presumably as we get closer to the release date. There's an art book, there's a steel book, there's codes for future downloadable content, and a white spider sticker. All this comes up to 250 Australian dollars. It's quite a lot. If that's not for you, that's fine. There is a steelbook edition of it for an extra 20, and then of course the stock standard retail version, or you could pick the game up digitally with a digital deluxe edition also existing. There's plenty there for you. There's plenty of ongoing additional content that's going to come after the game releases. And of course, the key is that release date, September 7th, exclusively PlayStation 4. If you're an owner of a PlayStation 4, this puts Spider-Man releasing in a really interesting window. It is surrounded by the release of Dragon Quest XI on September 4th, and then followed by the release of Shadow of the Tomb Raider on September 14th, with Spider-Man dropping somewhere in the middle. These are very different games targeting very different specific audiences. There'll be some people such as myself who are into all three, but they're really going to have to commit their time carefully. None of these games will be particularly short. They're going to require a little bit of time, but they have distinct audiences that they're targeting that should mean that Sony's Spider-Man game will not be affected by the release of those games from third parties releasing in and around that title. It is also important to note that the game is not releasing anywhere near the looming threats of Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and, more specifically, Red Dead Redemption 2, giving itself at least a month's head start on both of those games. It means it's going to be quite protected and quite safe, and should have the time to shine in its own right. I spoke before about pieces of the PlayStation puzzle coming together in 2018. We now know 3 of the big 4 games are coming out this year. When I say the big 4, I'm talking about God of War, which has its April 20 release date. It's about a week and a half away from when you're seeing this. There's Detroit Become Human on May 25th. There's now Spider-Man on September 7th. Days Gone was delayed into 2019, unfortunately, so that's one we don't have to factor in this year. But then there are, of course, a couple other smaller titles that we need to keep in mind of. There is Dreams from Media Molecule that doesn't have a release date yet. Now that we know that September is the home for Spider-Man, perhaps we can expect to see that really creative game coming out in late October, or probably even more realistically, early to mid-November, where it can kind of get in before those Black Friday sales kick in. It is a very niche game, but it has its time to shine. And then there's Concrete Genie, which is looking fantastic, but I firmly believe will not come out until 2019, and will go alongside the Ghost of Tsushima's, Last of Us Part 2s, and more of the world. So it's about time we talked more about the game. Well, Game Informer are the lucky sods that managed to get the month-long exclusive on the game. They've got some awesome stuff, so make sure to go and check out their website. But what we've learned from it is that some of our concerns over the last few months, based on E3 demos, PSX demos, and more, were largely unfounded. There were a lot of concerns that Spider-Man was going to be very linear and very quick time event heavy. Game Informer have bullishly gone out and said that is not something to worry about. The game is very open and quick time events are more contextual than anything else and are very few and far between from what they've seen so far. There are a lot of comparisons between Spider-Man and the Batman Arkham games in terms of its combat, and whilst there are some aspects there, this is not nearly as combo heavy. It's more about aerial maneuvers and the kind of stringing together of different web-based skills in order to take down your opponents, and using the environment around you to lay a bit of extra damage. The web slinging, so as in your mode of transport, is apparently really quite fluid. It's fantastic. Apparently there is a lot of weight to it. The physics are great. The timing in which you release your web dictates to how vertical your jump is versus how much horizontal distance you cover. The timing is really important here, and it's going to be great to see when the game comes out. Expert players stringing together some amazing maneuvers to launch themselves across enormous distances, cover, maybe leap over enormous buildings, slide through some really tight gaps. It's going to be fantastic from what we've seen and from what Game Informer have said to see how this game plays out once it gets into the hands of the masses. Another important thing to note is the DLC. So along with this release date announcement, we saw the contents of the collector's edition, the digital editions, and it was revealed that there's going to be post-launch content. That is going to take the form of a City That Never Sleeps DLC series. They haven't specified how many parts that is, but there's going to be multiple parts in this series, and it means that the game is going to exist and continue to remain in the collective consciousness for weeks and months to come after the game launches. So you've got something to look forward to there. Another thing that really excited me when I saw it is the fact that there is no microtransaction presence at all in the game. That is fantastic news. It was laughed off by Insomniac. Sony are undoubtedly not going anywhere near it, and that is great for you, the consumer, when the game comes out. More will undoubtedly break about Spider-Man over the coming days, weeks, and the remainder of this month of April. There's plenty to look forward to, so make sure to go and check out Game Informer's coverage. You'll see more about it on the Player 2 website undoubtedly as the month plays out, and a lot of commentary in episodes of Patched, the Video Games Club, and a whole lot more. There's some awesome stuff we're doing, so make sure to go and check it out. If you want to check out those things, like I said, make sure to visit the website player2.net.au where you'll find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, reviews, the Player 2 Writers Draft, and a whole lot more, all contributed by some of the best talent in Australia. We've got some awesome stuff going on there, so please make sure to go and check it out. If you like video content, specifically this, then there's a whole lot more of it at this channel, so please make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. They're all down below here, and that'll allow you to get access to weekly episodes of Patched, the Video Games Club, The Insider, Player 2 Plays. We've got a new late game review that's just gone live yesterday, so make sure to go and check that out. It's about Saints Row, trailers, and a whole lot more, all stuff that can only be found at our YouTube channel, so please go and check it out. If you really like what we do in both those spaces, maybe you'll consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/player2au with the donation of just a few dollars gives you access to early episodes, exclusive episodes. You can provide feedback, join us in some of our streams. There's heaps of awesome stuff going on there. So please consider kicking in a few dollars and we'll be able to give you lots back. And you're helping this dream of ours become a reality. For rolling updates, you can find me at PaulJamesP2 on Twitter, the website at Player2au on Twitter. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. Get excited for Spider-Man, and I'll see you later.